Hey everyone, Roland Smith at the Mortgage Center. This week we're doing MythBusting number 3, and this week's myth is the old, my bank did a former grow-op property for me before, so they will again. That's not necessarily the case. Now, the industry hasn't had this problem for that many years, at least not that they've been aware of. Property's now been branded as a former grow-op on the property condition disclosure statement, or in some places even on title, has caused lenders to rethink how their lending policies are when it comes to former grow-ops. Now you may say, why? Well, what's changed? Well, they're starting to find that some former grow-ops have chemical issues with the use of fertilizers and accelerants and whatnot. Not all of them, but some of them. And lenders get worried that those chemicals may have leached into the actual property. Could damage the actual property. There could have been mold and moisture, which has damaged the structure. Well, don't forget that the property is the bank's security. Ultimately, that's all they have to rely on at the end of the day if there's a foreclosure. So they want to make darn certain that those properties they're lending their money on are in fact solid. There's nothing wrong with them. Former grow-ops haven't been around, at least in a documented sense, for a long enough period of time for banks to know whether or not they're actually presenting a risk. So what we saw a few years ago was we could get former grow-ops done at 5 or 6 banks, and it slowly dwindled. Every year we lose one. And we're down now to just a couple of institutions that will consider it under pretty onerous paperwork requirements. Environmental air quality samples to make sure there's no mold or other chemicals in the air. Some of them even want a stage 2, which could involve taking samples of drywall, all this type of thing. Most certainly they're going to want to see that the applicant is very solid, their income and credit is very solid as a minimum, before they're going to lend on a property which might not be quite as solid. So if you think your bank did it before, I'd counsel you to check again before you go writing any subject-free offers. If you know anybody in this situation who's written an offer on a former marijuana grow-op and would like some advice, get them to call me. I'm Roland Smith from the Mortgage Center.